Okay. Well, I started on piano as a little kid, and then my uncle gave me a guitar when I was 12, electric guitar, and so I was really digging that. I mean, I was listening to Black Sabbath and Led Zeppelin, and then I love Groucho Marx, the comedian, the actor, and Salvador Dali, the artist. Okay. And then later on, Steve Morse, the guitarist, Steve Morse. Yeah. So these three things were a big influence.
Oh, okay.
And then came Michael Hedges and Pierre Bensoussan for the acoustic guitar. Of course, the Grateful Dead, Jerry Garcia. I've always loved Jerry Garcia. And then I've also been into heavy stuff like, well, it started with Van Halen and Corrosion of Conformity and some Thin Lizzy's live album and all that stuff.
Yeah. So when was that you switched to
acoustic guitar?
Yeah.
16, I guess. I had been playing for, I guess, 4 years on the electric, and then I really wanted to start playing acoustic guitar, so I bought a Fender 12-string.
12-string?
Yeah, because I thought if you had a 12-string and you ever wanted a 6-string, you just cut every other string off, then you have a 6-string. And I did that, and then after a week, the neck started bending back, and I couldn't figure out what the problem was. Why is my guitar buzzing? And so I brought it back to the store. I said, my guitar's broken. And the guy says, wait a minute, this is a 12-string. You're missing 6 strings on here. And so he put the other 6 strings on there, and then it fixed it. Then it worked better. Yeah. But then when I was 18, I got a Loudon fingerstyle acoustic guitar, and that was the beginning of. I was listening to just Windham Hill stuff with George Winston and Alex DeGrassi and all those guys, and then Steve Morse and Dixie Dregs, so all of that came together.
Yeah, interesting.
I thought everybody was like that.
So I have here. You set a Guinness World Records for playing the most concerts in different countries within 24 hours.
Right. I did that 3 times.
Oh, not only once.
No, I did it 3 times. The first one was in 1999. I did 3 concerts in 3 different countries in 24 hours, and I sent my package to Guinness to say, hey, I did it, and they said okay, and they had given me the rules. They told me I only had to do 3, and so I did 3. And then it took 18 months for them to get back to me and say, oh, I'm so sorry, we can't accept this because Def Leppard already played 3 concerts on 3 different continents in 24 hours.
Oh, no.
And when you asked us about the world record, our computers were down, so we couldn't give you a proper answer. So then I dropped it, and then in 2009, I did 6 concerts in 6 different countries in 24 hours, and that was great. It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of press all over the world. My record was #1 on the iTunes music charts in the United States. It was great. And I thought, oh, I can do this for every record. Yeah, next year I'll just do 7. The next album I'll do 8. And then the next year, this guy from Germany who had been asking me questions about my record announced that he was going to do 8. And I was a little bit angry. I was like, hey, come on, man. So he did that, and Guinness gave him the title. And then I was like, okay, I have to get revanche. And so then I spent a year booking for the tour in 2012. I did 9 concerts in 9 different countries in 24 hours, and nobody has beat it yet.
But how did you come up with the idea in the first place?
Oh, in the United States, I've been living in Germany for about 27 years, yeah? Before that, I lived in the United States, in Maryland. That's the state next to Washington, D.C. And I was in a rock band in the 90s, and we used to play concerts, and then parallel to that, I was doing my instrumental guitar stuff. And then when the band dissolved, I just was playing the instrumental guitar stuff around the D.C., Maryland, Virginia area in small coffee shops and bookstores and small clubs, and I would do things like 30 concerts in 30 days, and this sort of thing, and just to try to make it fun. Mm-hmm. And so I wrote to Guinness. I said, oh, I'd like to do the most concerts in 24 hours. And they said, oh, no, we're not interested in that. They have since created a category for that, but at the time they weren't interested. Yeah. So when I moved to Europe and realized how close all the countries are, well, I thought, let's make something exciting, something. I'm very American when it comes to promotion. The Europeans, they are a little bit more cool. The Americans are a little bit, hey, come on, here we go. This kind of thing.
Yeah, sure. And then, so tonight you'll be opening for Scott Henderson.
Yeah.
And how did it happen? And what do you think about this? It must be a thrill to.
It's amazing. It's incredible. I run a booking agency. I've done the booking for Soft Machine, for Alan Holdsworth, for Greg Howe, Stu Ham, Carl Verheyen. I do the booking for Scott Henderson. Terry Bozzio, I used to do the booking for Terry Bozzio. I used to book Frank Gambale and many other musicians and Atari Teenage Riot from Berlin, and I also represent Suicidal Tendencies in Germany. So there are sometimes I will book a tour for a band, and they will ask me if I will go on tour with them as a tour manager. Mm-hmm. And if I leave my house for longer than 2 or 3 days, I'm going to bring my guitar with me. Yeah? And if I bring my guitar with me, I'm going to play my guitar. And if there's a concert going on, I'm going to play my guitar during the concert. So my stipulation with these bands is, if it fits musically, then I say, listen, I can do it, but I'm going to be your support act. And some of the artists are very enthusiastic about that, because it mostly happens with the jazz fusion guys. The jazz fusion bands, they like a little warm-up. They don't want it too long, and they don't want it to be jazz fusion. Right. So it's perfect for a solo acoustic instrumental fingerstyle guitarist to warm up the crowd for 20 or 30 minutes, and then they go on and they melt their minds, turn their brains to mush. So I've done that with Alan Holdsworth. I've done it with Soft Machine and Carl Verheyen and those bands. And when Scott had asked me about doing it, I was interested, but I was very, very nervous. I had done stuff with Alan Holdsworth, and he's a monster. He was a monster, and Greg Howe and Stu Ham, they were nice people too. Scott Henderson, the only real contact I had with Scott Henderson was I used to book him through his other agent. So I never had contact with Scott. He called me a couple times, but that was it. The only thing I knew is there is a story about him getting very angry about the internet not working at a hotel. And so I was a little nervous. Is this going to be a difficult artist? Is this going to be one of those artists that needs, very demanding? So I was very nervous about it. And when I first met him for the first tour we did together in 2023, it was completely different. The guy is such a genuinely nice, caring person. Funny, he's got a great sense of humor. The first concert I played with him was in Stuttgart, and it took us about 10 hours to get there. We drove 2 days to get there, and I was a little nervous, but I was really happy to be there because I knew who I was going to be spending the next month with, and it was just really wonderful. It's really wonderful. I have been on tours where the artist has not been so easy, and have gotten through it. But with Scott, it's like a hot knife through butter. It's very enjoyable. It's great. So, and to be able to perform, and he's a monster player. He's an incredible player. I'll ask him about one little thing that he's doing, during the sound check or something, and he'll go into great detail what's happening with the changes and with the modulation and the different chord substitutions. And my brain is trying to keep up, so it's very challenging too.
Yeah, interesting. Okay, I think we have one more question, Jeff, and the last one is for emerging guitarists, emerging artists. Do you have any advice or?
I heard a great piece of advice from the internet. I think it's attributed to Rick Rubin, and I don't know if he's the only person that said it or if he's the first person that said it. But he said, earn your money some other way so that it doesn't interfere with your art. If you're doing your art just to earn money with your art, then you're going to end up compromising your art. So I really subscribe to the do what you really, really love, because the chances are that you will find somebody else, you will find an audience that really, really loves it too. And I would rather be loved by a small group of people than liked by many.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you very
and
much.
Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah.